Hello everybody and welcome to Tuesday's edition of the Chris Pritchard Cycling News Show. Stage 4 is in the books. This tour, if we make it to the end of this tour, best tour ever. We're going to be breaking down stage 4 later in the show, but first let's check out what else is happening in the world of cycling. And first up, we have managed to obtain some fan footage from yesterday's finish on stage 3 of Caleb Ewan's amazing victory. Check it out.
Wait for Ewan and watch this again, and it takes your breath away this moment. Look at that!
I tell you what, his front wheel must have skimmed Peter Sagan's back wheel there.
For Ewan and watch this again, and it takes your breath away this moment. Look at that! For Ewan and watch this again, and it takes your breath away this moment. Look at that!
And that's not the only exclusive here on the Chris Pritchard Cycling News Show. We've just heard that Matt White from Mitchelton Scott has landed the lead role in the brand new Muppets film.
Higita's won the Banshee in from Greg Van Amanat.
Now, as a cycling fan, there's a few unwritten rules that I like to stick to. In terms of, I'd never wear a Great British skin suit unless I'd earned it. When I'd had to give them back, I gave them back or sold them on eBay. Right? I wouldn't wear the national jersey. I wouldn't wear the rainbow banded jersey. I would never wear the yellow jersey. I don't know who this fan is, but look at this full-on pro kit wanker. It's who? Conor McGregor. I mean, who does he think he is? Wearing the yellow jersey. Has he earned that? Can he even ride a bike? I tell you what, if I ever saw him in the street, he'd get what for? That's what he does for a living. MMA fighter Conor McGregor has been seen wearing the yellow jersey of the Tour de France. What a great guy, wearing the yellow jersey to support the Tour de France. I think that's an amazing thing. Somebody from he's a world champion. Double world champion. Double world champion in another sport, coming to our sport and embracing it. I love that. Conor McGregor, thank you for promoting our sport to a wider audience. Well done, mate. Really appreciate it. First up, and Belgian rider Tiege Benoot has just signed an extension on his contract with Sunweb, which is going to keep him there until 2022. All of the things I expected from the team last year before I joined have come true. I'm happy with how things have worked out at the start of the season and how things continue to work between us. It's a nice fit. And then in probably the biggest transfer news so far this year, Annemiek van Vleuten is leaving Mitchelton Scott for Movistar. The current road race world champion has been with Mitchelton Scott now for the past 5 years after just dominating the women's pro peloton. Talking on the new deal, Van Vleuten said, "I'm not the youngest in the peloton anymore, but I am super ambitious and want to do very well with this team. It's not in my head to think about retirement, far from it. Right now what matters to me is to keep improving. Hopefully joining this team and enjoying this new environment will give me new energy. In addition to improving that performance, I see this as an opportunity. I see this opportunity as a good time to join a team of young girls who, after these years of growth of the Movistar team, surely can take advantage of having someone like me by their side, who transmits those little things to them to take the last big leap. I like working with young talents and helping them, and also supporting Spanish cycling is another goal for me here." Just goes to show you that, you know, age ain't nothing but a number. 37 years old. Same age as me. And she's absolutely obliterating everybody. Even these youngsters that are coming on the scene, they're just getting absolutely nowhere near her. How long has she got left in the women's pro peloton? Who knows? But Movistar thinks she is a catch, and she clearly is. She's still got the power, she's still got the ambition, she's still got the talent. She's going nowhere anytime soon, and it's amazing to see potentially a rider, you know, heading towards 40 who's still doing it on the world scene. So good luck to her. But as ever, let me pass it off to you. What do you think of Annemiek van Vleuten moving across to Movistar? Do you think it's a good move, potentially a bad move that could speed up the end of her career? Do you think Mitchelton Scott had the right balance with her to allow her to do the things she needed to do to get the best out of her? And do you think potentially she might not get that at Movistar? I don't know. Leave your comments down below. All right, it's Tour de France time now, and before we get into stage 4, let's just take a look back at a talking point from stage 3 over on Lanterne Rouge's Instagram account. Check this picture out here and the description. So you can see in this picture here, Lantern has applied some generous, you've got to say they're generous lanes for these sprinters to be in. And in the description he said, might as well get rid of the rule at this point because the UCI only enforces it once every 2 years when there is a mass pile-up, hashtag TDF 220. Sprints. Riders shall be strictly forbidden to deviate from the lane they selected when launching into a sprint, and in doing so, endangering others. And look, you can see on that first picture he's kind of in the middle of that right hand lane, and then the second picture is him being on the outside of that left hand lane. And to be fair, Lantern's given them very, very generous lanes there. You could probably fit 2 bikes down there, so well, each lane, so you could potentially get 4 to 5 riders down that right hand side of Sam Bennett if everybody held their line. But what do we think to this in the light of Fabio Jakobsen's crash at the Tour of Poland? Do riders need to be punished each and every time they deviate from their line in a bid to try and stop them from doing it? Or do we have to accept that, again, like I've said in the past, when you're sprinting flat out, especially these guys, when they've been riding for so long, they're fatigued, they're tired, their concentration levels are so high for that last maybe 50, 40k, that by the time they get to the line, they're giving it everything. They're giving it everything. And then on top of that, obviously, you've got to contend with the weather. You've got to contend with other riders around you. When you see it on TV, it looks relatively clear cut. Just sprinting in a straight line. It's a piece of cake, but it really isn't. Hey, listen, I've done it in the past on the track. You're sprinting, you're just fatigued. You've lost all feeling in your legs. You're struggling to concentrate on what's actually going on. And it's so easy to deviate away from a line. But the hard question is, when does it become a deviation because you're fatigued? And when does it become a deviation of you trying to slow riders down or at least put them off? Because, again, think about the track. Once you've started your sprint in a match sprint, you're not allowed to come out of the red line. Once you're down on the inside, you've got to stay to that red line. But everybody is going to force the person who's on the outside to go as far as they can around them. So to do that, you have to edge your bets and get as close as you can to that right-hand side, to that red line. So it means that this rider potentially gets a bit uncomfortable in this position, so they move over, in doing so, making them go further. But leave your comments on this one. Should we just scrap the rule and say, go for it, boys? If you do something that we deem to be fucking stupid, you're getting kicked out of the Tour de France. There's no penalty points, there's no fine, you're getting kicked out. But like in this situation, there was no harm caused. He was leading out into a headwind. He would have struggled to keep that concentration all the way to the line. He's battling with fatigue, with lactic acid in his body. His brain's not working the way it should be. Do you let him off? I don't know. Leave your comments down below. Anyway, stage 4. How did it go down, Chris? Well, let's have a transition and I'll tell you. So the day's breakaway went from the gun. Kilometre 0, 6 riders got up the road and the peloton kept that gap around 3 minutes. It did go all the way up to around 4 minutes and 11 at one point early in the stage, but they just kept it in check. They kept an eye on it, and coming in towards the final descent, towards the last few climbs, Tiege Benoot ended his day on the side of a guardrail. That was him out of the break, and that's his bike going straight in the bin. Look at the state of that. The peloton finally caught the solo breakaway from the breakaway, which was Nederland's. He was caught, and then it was a matter of waiting to see who was going to make the first attack. And it turned out nobody could make the first attack. Such was the strength of Jumbo-Visma. A la Team Ineos, a la Team Sky, they just set a blistering pace. Tony Martin started at the bottom of the climb. He handed over to Wout van Aert, and it looked like Wout van Aert potentially just might be riding up the road on his own because he was so strong at the front. Wout van Aert handed over reins to Sepp Kuss, and then it looked like potentially he was going to set off and just tear the race apart. I think, again, had he not been there in support of Primož Roglic and he had free rein, you're probably looking at the stage winner in Sepp Kuss. He was so strong. Eventually, he had to give way to the rest of the riders, and this is where it started to stall just a little bit, and potentially this is where the first breaks were going to go. Eventually, it was Guillaume Martin that kicked it all off with around 400 metres to go By that time, all the main GC contenders were together. There was going to be no time gaps, and it was ultimately going to come down to the stage victory rather than trying to put time into the GC contenders. Primož Roglic took the victory. He looked bloody strong. Pogačar made it a Slovenian 1-2. Guillaume Martin managed to hold on to third place. Nairo Quintana in fourth. Julian Alaphilippe was in fifth. Miguel Angel Lopez 6th, Egan Bernal down in 7th, Thibaut Pinot 8th, Landa 9th, and Yatesy again maybe paying for that effort on stage 2, but he was down in 10th. Tom Dumoulin, same time as the rest of them in front of him, but for someone who's potentially a GC contender and in support of Primož Roglic, he didn't do a great deal. Now, in terms of GC, that doesn't really change anything at the top. Alaphilippe still leads ahead of Adam Yates. It has put, as you can see there, Primož Roglic up into third place. Tadej Pogačar stays in fourth, and Guillaume Martin grabs a few more places, pushing himself up to fifth. And the biggest losers out of the day in terms of GC is probably Richard Carapaz, who is now down at 45 seconds behind the leader Alaphilippe, and Mark Hirschi, who we didn't really intend to be there. He was a surprise package of stage number 2, and he drops down 20 places into 23rd place. So turning our attention to stage 5 now, essentially, looking at the profile, it's a bit of a roller coaster downhill, really, isn't it? This has got to be a day for the sprinters. There is a slight uphill drag towards the end, and you can see here the last 5 kilometres. It does drag slightly back uphill, but I don't think that's going to be much of an issue for the majority of the sprinters that are feeling good. Looking like it's going to come down to a bunch sprint, this one. And now, as a prediction for this one, I was going to say Peter Sagan. He'll be reeling from the last couple of sprints that he's put out, not putting himself in the best position, not giving himself the best opportunity to win. But here, potentially he could. I know he's been getting some serious heat over on Twitter, which I think is uncalled for. People saying he's past it, he's past his sell-by date, he's no good for anything. But really, we're talking about Peter Sagan here. At any point, that man can switch it on and still win a Tour de France stage. But depending how many matches Wout van Aert has burnt today, you can't look past him for something like this. I don't think it's going to be an out-and-out sprint. I think Wout van Aert's going to have tomorrow. Leave your predictions for tomorrow's stage down below. Prove me wrong. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure, if you've not done already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you've not enjoyed the video for whatever reason, i.e. I've spoilt it for you, then I'm sorry. Whatever. Hit that dislike button, and I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah? Bye.